Three, two, one, zero.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
Well, last Sunday we went through a series. It was a very quick series on the 4 aspects of a godly personal mission. And our goal was to show you how the Christ that lives in us, not just individually but corporately, that he satisfied all of these elements, and he is the one that lives in us. So this is what Christ in us seeks to accomplish. Our mission is in him. Not just the Great Commission, everyone knows that, but what drives us. And these 4 elements are pretty much something that you can find anywhere if you study any kind of a psychology of personal achievement. But the first one is that a personal vision, or our sense of purpose and vision and mission, must provide meaning. So it has to give us a way of defining reality, and it also has to put, in terms of the reality of our world and where we fit into it. So think about this. When Jesus Christ came to this earth, he came as a light to this world in John 8:12. That was his goal, was to literally shine God's character, to be the full expression in Hebrews 1:3 of God's character to the entirety of humanity. And even those that hadn't been born yet, or those that had come before him, everything pointed towards him. All of the prophecies of the Old Testament, the 300 that were fulfilled in his lifespan, and by his death and resurrection also. But beyond that, after his life, he is the living testimony of what God's character is for us. So his goal was to express the Father's heart. We all know the verses in John 3 and verse 16 and on, where it talks about God in this way. This is how he loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that those people that believed in him would not continue in a lost state. And the word there means lost, as in, think about it this way. If you were in a ship, or let's think about those individuals in a recent catastrophe that we had back in Baltimore, where that cargo ship ran into the bridge and knocked those people into the water. They're in an element. They only have a certain amount of time before the element overtakes them, and they can't survive in the elements. Well, that's truthfully, on a much broader scale, the way that every human being is. We're in the elements of this world. And this world is not designed for our survival. No amount of medicine, no amount of science, no amount of health food, or any of these things is going to alter the fact that you and I are in a body of death. We were not designed to survive this life. We were given this life to have the opportunity to believe in God's provision. And God gave his Son, so that we would not, if we believe in him, we'd be taken out of this state of being lost, out of darkness, it says in Acts 26 and verse 18, into light, out of the kingdom of Satan and into God's dear Son. That's what his reality was. He saw the world for what it was, a state of darkness. And as it says there in Matthew 9, those that sat in darkness have seen a great light. That prophecy that was fulfilled, from Isaiah chapter 9. So you and I understand that this is was his point, and he lives in us. So we see the world now in a different light. We see it through the, if you will, the lens of Jesus Christ. His place in the world was to be a sacrifice for those that are lost. He was the one who would be given. His whole life was to be an expression of God's character, even up until the point of his death. We can see that, in the midst of this, if you think about it, he understood the reality of the world. When the Word of God says, death and hell are before the eyes of God, and how much more the hearts of men. I think that's in Proverbs 15:11, but you can check me on that one. But it's in Proverbs. Pretty sure it's 15:11. I could look it up, but I don't want to waste the time. You can look it up. But the point is, God knows what's going to happen, what happens to those who reject him. And he sent his son so that he could express his sole purpose. And the way that he viewed the world was an opportunity for them to see the light of God's love and character. And we now have that very person living within us. And our place in the world is to do what he did, to shine the light. This is why we're not to take what God has given us and hide it under a bushel. And as a church, we're to be a city on a hill that can't be hidden. People are to see our good works and glorify God. I don't know about you, but that's kind of exciting that we have such a purpose in this life, that nothing that we go through is meaningless, that we actually understand the reality of this world and we realize our place in it. It's our mission. It's part of our personal mission and our vision of who we are. Till next time, friends, God bless you.